Thank you for being here for your administrator's role in your brokerage for our first session of the broker-only forum in this round. We've put together an amazing series of events for you to help you to run your brokerage more efficiently. The first thing that I will tell you is that the only sustainable advantage in business is world-class service. You need to offer that to every real estate professional that entrusts you with their career path. It's your job as the broker to make sure that that happens. And really, the thing that's most important is that you deliver on the promises that you make. Deliver on those promises that are made so that they are right in trusting you with their career path. And consistency is key. They need to know what to expect every morning that they walk through your door. The topics that we will be going over in all of our broker-only forums for the next few sessions are: next is the comprehensive menu of services. We're going to be talking after that about recruiting productive real estate agents. Then we're going to teach you how to orient them and use imprinting in order for them to have that honeymoon period in your brokerage and allow it to really be consummated. After that, we will be talking about associate satisfaction, managing agent-level communication, and then agent awards and recognition. So those are the sessions that we've put together for you brokers so that you can create a whole experience for the real estate professionals that you've been entrusted to help them to build their career. With that being said, let's get into what your administrator's job is. Now, you working hand in hand with them is obviously the way that it goes, but ultimately they're responsible for being like Radar O'Reilly on MASH, where they know exactly what you need or your real estate professionals need every single time. And we want to do that by building a prototype type office for them. And I use this as a way for you to understand that the mom and pop versus someplace that you know what to expect every single time is a completely different set of circumstances. And it creates a completely different feel. What do I mean by that? If you look in the upper right-hand corner of this example, this is an actual store that is about 10 miles away from my home. And that is this Carvel ice cream shop. And this Carvel ice cream shop treats their consumers like a mom and pop would. You never walk in, when you walk in there, you never get the same greeting. You never know what to expect. Is it going to be clean? Is it going to be dirty? Is it going to be messy? Are there going to be jimmies all over the floor? But if you look at the lower left-hand corner, you see the prototype of one that is being treated like a true first-class operation. Everything is in its place. Everything has a place. And you know what to expect every single time you walk through the door. Your consumers need to know what to expect every time they walk through the door. If you think about the left-hand corner diner that you walk in and there's phone books that are just piled up in the corner, or you walk into a place that every chair is in unison at the bar. See, these things are important for your real estate brokerage as well. You're saying, what are you talking about? Some of you. And some of you are saying, well, duh. But I just want to make it clear that it's your administrator's role to make sure that these things are happening. And obviously, it's your role to make sure they know that these things are supposed to happen. And if you don't put these practices into place, then you're going to end up with things strewn about. Some of you don't know that my background is in teaching, and children, as adults, like to know that something is always where it's supposed to be. So when your real estate agents walk into your office, they need to know what to do if they need a paperclip, if they need a stapler, if they need a contract. They don't need to search around for it and it be somewhere different every single time. So you need to have order in your brokerage. In addition to that, first impressions are omni-important for you and your brokerage. They need to answer the phone the same way every single time. They are the face of your brokerage. The receptionist that answers the phone that says, "Hello." I actually called a business this week, and it was amazing to me that when I called, the person said hello on the phone instead of, "Thank you for calling XYZ Realty. This is Carrie. How can I serve you?" Well, if somebody says hello or XYZ Realty, that doesn't serve as a wonderful first impression. It actually harms you rather than helping you. I'd rather them not answer the phone. I've been teaching this class for a while now, and I ran a brokerage that had 540 agents in it. And our first impressions and all of the things that I'm teaching you here made it so that we could have 540 agents, because first impressions are important. What do I mean by that? Well, when your receptionist or your administrator is guiding your receptionist to answer the phone, or even if you're the administrator, the phones need to be answered the same way every single time. So make a decision about what it's going to be. And I have some suggestions for you. "Thank you for calling XYZ Realty, home of the best realtors in Orlando." Well, that sounds pretty amazing if a cooperating agent is calling for showing instructions. That sounds pretty amazing if your realtor is calling in and they're being acknowledged as being one of the best realtors in that city. That answering of the phone is pretty impressive to a potential seller or buyer. You're planting a first impression that says, "Hey, we're the best." How about this one? It's kind of long, but I will tell you that it changed many brokerages' recruiting efforts simply by making this simple statement when answering the phone. "Thank you for calling XYZ Realty, where the only sustainable advantage in business is WorldClass Service. This is Carrie. How may I serve you?" Notice I'm not saying help, I'm saying serve. So these statements about answering the phones are so important to recruiting efforts, to potential sellers or potential buyers. How does your administrator or your receptionist greet clients or realtors who do not work there? Do they continue with their typing because they have so much work to do that they can't even look up when somebody walks in? Or do they look up, stand up, and shake somebody's hand? If they're greeting clients or realtors who do not work at your office, that first impression could change the way that either client, or more importantly for you, real estate professional sees your company. How about this? Hello, welcome to XYZ Realty. May I help you locate someone? Because obviously it's a stranger. Please feel free to help yourself to some coffee or water. So this is a stranger. So we want them to feel welcome. We want your real estate professionals who are having their people come to you know that when their clients come, that they can expect to get a professional first-class greeting. Many times I walk into a real estate office. I used to travel throughout the state of Florida, and now I travel throughout the country. And I'll walk into a real estate office, and the receptionists don't even look up. They continue with what they're doing. Greeting realtors who also work at your office is important for the camaraderie and for them to feel like they belong there. They should be greeted just as nicely as a stranger would be. They should be greeted with, "Good morning, Susan. Are you expecting anyone today?" They should be greeted with that every single time they walk through the door, because you're creating a new first impression every morning. It's very important that you instruct your first line to do things the way that you want it done, even if it's not these words, even if it's not exactly what I say. Pick something and make it happen every time. And it's not glance up from what you're doing. Those first impressions will shape the way that someone sees your office. And your administrator is the person to do that. With that being said, what are these people walking into? We talked about order and how people like to know exactly where they walk into, exactly what they walk into. Well, if they walk into your office and your office looks like the lower left-hand corner, let me tell you something. They're not going to think that you've got your act together and that you know what you're doing. They're going to think that you're scattered, and that if they come and work there, or if they entrust you to sell the largest asset that they own, that you're going to get, something's going to be lost in the shuffle. This order is so important. Now, I will tell you that I'm using my upper right-hand corner as an example of goodness, but I have to tell you that in my office, those cords that are underneath the desk would have been hidden. They would have been zip-tied together and attached to the wall so that the cords were in an orderly fashion. Now, admittedly, I'm a bit anal retentive as it comes to these things, but when you walk through an office that has order, it gives you a completely different feeling than when you walk through an office that is riddled with chaos. One of the things that people should be able to walk into is a reception area that doesn't have garbage everywhere. One of the things that I would like for you guys to do as we finish, which I'm not finished, but after we finish this session, is I would like for you to walk into your front doors, walk out the door of your office, walk into your front door, and view it as if you've never been there before. Did the UPS man just come and deliver paper, and there's paper strewn everywhere? There's boxes. Maybe they delivered office supplies, and they delivered them right to the front, and the receptionist couldn't get to it, so there's boxes everywhere. Does your receptionist have random papers strewn all over their space? See, whether you have an office that is modern and fresh and new, or you have an office that is in need of a little TLC, you can change the first impression of that office simply by cleaning it up and making it have order. And it's your administrator's job to keep that order. But it's your job to let them know that it's expected, and what is expected, and where everything is expected to be. You see, if there's a stepladder that's behind the receptionist's desk when you walk through the door, that is unacceptable. Do you know how many times I have been into real estate offices and used the restroom, and the restroom is the storage closet? I understand if you need to use the restroom as a storage closet, but if you're using the restroom as a storage closet, it needs to have order. It needs to have purpose. And I'm sounding a little soapboxy right now because I'm actually picturing one office in particular that I walked into, and the front face of it was lovely. I walked in, everything was in order at the receptionist desk. The conference room was done well. The desks were in order. Everything had order. And then I asked to use the restroom after being there for a couple of hours. And I was appalled at what I saw. Your consumers come in and ask to use the restroom. You have cooperating realtors, that ask to use the restroom. And even your agents who work there need to have order. They need to not feel like they're in a storage closet. So order is super important. And in order to achieve that, you need to have a daily task list for your administrator, receptionists, transaction coordinators, whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you call them. And I have a sample for you. 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Coffee, 4 pots. Now that's what, we needed. Maybe you need 1. Clean up kitchen and coffee area. See, this is before we technically opened for business. Lower and push in all chairs. Now this one's funny. You're going to laugh. Align all monitors, keyboards, and mice. Like soldiers, they need to be standing there waiting for people to come and do their work. Check and fill all paper trays. We don't need to be running out of paper. There's no reason for at 9:30 somebody to walk up to you and say, hey, can I have some paper for the blah, blah, blah? Or, worse yet, for them to be searching for wherever you decided to put the paper today. It wastes their time. They need to know what to expect. You need to deliver on the promises that you've made. Clear all debris. A real estate office is open to their real estate professionals 24/7. They leave things lay around. It needs to be cleared off. It needs to be taken care of from 8:30 to 9 o'clock so that every day at 9 o'clock, every single thing is in place. Inventory the forms cabinets. If you have things that you have pre-printed and you have them out for your real estate professionals, you need not have one left at 9 o'clock in the morning. You need to have them stocked and ready for them to go and grab, and be consistent with it. And then there's other tasks that happen between 9 and 10. Then there's other tasks that happen between 10 and 11. And then there's a midday walkthrough where the same thing occurs that occurred between 8:30 and 9 occurs midday. See, between 9 and noon, guess what happens? A tornado called your real estate professionals walks through your office. And they leave their coffee cups. You got Starbucks, and you've got Dunkin' Donuts cups, and you've got, maybe a box of Joe that's laying around, and all of these things. These things are important to get rid of because people should be able to walk in at any time during the day. And what's funny is that once you train them, they can't walk through the building without making these things happen. So if they're even walking to the restroom for themselves, they will lower a chair and push it in and make it have order. Make it be the same exact height underneath the desk. So if somebody's walked away and left garbage laying all over, they'll take care of it because they start to take pride and it's habitual at that point. Now you'll have a part-time receptionist checklist, and maybe they do the midday walkthrough. Maybe you don't have enough money in your budget to have a full-time receptionist, and you're the chief cook and bottle washer. You're sitting there at the receptionist desk that you've created so that someday you can have a receptionist. Guess what? That's your job then, to make sure that when a client or a potential real estate associate of yours, notice I say potential, because every cooperating agent that walks through that door is a potential hire for you. A new hire for you. And they need to be treated with respect and be able to know what to expect. Your agents need to know that when their consumers walk through the door, that the monitors will be in the same place every time. The keyboards will be in the same place. The mice will be in the same place. If they need a stapler, they know where to go and get it. If they happen to run out of paper because somebody used it all, and it was refilled, but somebody used it all during the day, they need to know where to go and get it. What's the procedure for it? And we'll go into that in orientation and imprinting, because once you create these procedures, you build them in and you make the promises so that they understand, the new hires that come and work for you, understand where and when to go and get things. I went so far as to have a cleaning breakdown in my office. Who's responsible for Section 1? Who's responsible for Section 2? Maybe you only have Section 1 and Section 2. Maybe you only have Section 1. But break it down so that everyone has their own responsibilities and it's done in a way. We had a lot of private offices. Now, you guys don't have to have a lot of private offices, but you know what? My real estate professionals knew that they should put their trash can outside the door if they had a locked door, if they wanted their trash emptied. It was a system that was put in place. Now, I am very guilty in my own home of having too many systems. However, everyone knows what to expect when they walk into my real estate office. So I'm not going to go into exactly all of the different cleaning things that go into it, but I am going to go over a few of them. Because having your monitors free from dust and the glass cleaned every day, having your keyboards not have crumbs all over them, or your countertops cleaned. Look, the systems need to be clear. So if you notice in the Section 2, it says, countertops cleaned with all-purpose cleaner. True story. You have to spell every little thing out at the beginning so that they understand. This is something that not a lot of people look into. Check the walls behind the monitors for pen marks or scuffs and clean with a magic eraser if necessary. Align all pen holders, monitors, keyboards, and mice. As in picture A. Yes, an actual picture of it done the right way, shown to my receptionist. See, when faxes come in and people don't need certain pages, they just leave them lay by the fax machine. Well, those need to be removed. Those need to be put away, discarded, whether it be in the recycle bin or the trash bin, or you recycle it by using it as scratch paper at the reception desk. Whatever you decide to do with it is okay, as long as you decide to do something with it. Now, maybe your receptionist is twofold. Maybe your receptionist is also the person who processes all the listings. The same thing holds true for that. You need to have a checklist and a system in place for that. What happens every single time a listing comes in? What are our listing procedures? Maybe it's as simple as scanning it in. Maybe they need to create a folder for it. Maybe they need to add it to the MLS for your agent. Maybe they need to check the MLS and print out the MLS sheet. But whatever it is, it needs to be done exactly the same way every single time, because once that procedure is established and followed, it will save you time and money. Recreating the wheel every single time is just a waste of time, a waste of resources, and a waste of money. If your agents know what to expect when they turn in a listing, and they know what to expect what they need in order to turn in a listing, they're not getting the annoying phone call from you or the administrator saying, "Hey, you forgot to turn in the special clauses section of your listing agreement." Now, some people aren't going to follow the rules, and those annoying phone calls are still going to be made, but if you spell it out and they know what to expect and you deliver on the promises that you're making, they become way better at it. Trust me when I tell you. Which brings me to office supplies. I know this is silly, but when do you order more paper? What's the system for that? Do you have a toner policy? Do you run out of paper all the time, or do you run out of paper towels? Are you constantly sending someone to the grocery store in order to buy you coffee because you're out of coffee? Where do you keep your supplies? Do you keep them messy in the bathroom? And how do you refill them? See, you need to understand that you should have a minimum acceptable amount of everything. And once it reaches that, it's time to reorder, so that you never run out and you're never letting your agents down. Maybe they have a really big client coming in that day, and you're out of coffee, you're out of creamer, you don't have anything. Or you're even out of one thing. Do you know what kind of impression that you're putting onto that client because you can't offer them things? If you put the systems in place and your receptionist or your administrator is in charge of that, then you never run into that problem again. Your policies need to be your policies, and your procedures need to be your procedures, and they need to be that every single day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then you need to have separate policies for Saturdays and Sundays. Is the office closed on Saturday and Sunday? What's your checklist for Friday afternoon? If your office is closed, everything needs to be refilled so that the weekend people who come in and work on the weekend know. And I'm pretty sure you're going to lock up your supplies because things tend to walk. What do you do in that case? Do you have a ream of paper sitting out so that if somebody's there working on the weekend and there's no one else there, that they're able to complete their tasks that they went to the office for? See, I get a little bit animated about this because it is so important, and it's something that's often overlooked. It's something that maybe you don't realize is important. It's something that maybe you didn't ever think of. And I've been in many offices where that was the case. That there's no staples in the stapler. As small as that is, it's annoying for your real estate professionals to not have the ability to staple something if they want. When they go to get coffee, it should be clean and tidy. Did that person really not have enough time to take the plastic off of the bottom of those cups on the left-hand side? If those are the types of cups that you're choosing to use, they should be in an orderly fashion. And let me tell you, your agents are going to leave, coffee stirrers and packet and wrappers everywhere. And I had breakfast with a broker a few days ago, and I sat at the breakfast table, and she was taking her creamer that she was using, and she was putting it back into the bowl that had the new creamer in it. And she was just throwing it in. And it's funny because she's been in business for, by the way, nobody on this call, so, but I'm not speaking out of turn, and I'm not letting you know who it is, so I don't feel bad. But she was taking it and she was putting it back into the bowl, and I was looking at it, and it's funny because she has a lot of offices, and she's been working with us for 2 years and refuses to listen to this part of what we're trying to teach her, what I'm trying to teach her. And in 2 years, she's only gained 50 real estate professionals in 5 offices. Well, first of all, why do you have 5 offices if you have 50 people? But it's little things like this. I just looked at her when she was doing it, and I didn't say anything, and I should have, but it's this type of thing that makes it so that people don't feel welcome and that you have your act together, where you just leave garbage lay around. And you don't have systems in place. It's very much more difficult to recruit. It's very much more difficult to keep people there when they don't have order. So with all of that being said, Broker Only Forum is to help you build systems in your brokerage that make it easier for you to make your agents understand, your consumers only understand, that the only sustainable advantage in business is world-class service, and you're there ready, willing, and able to offer that to them, because you're going to deliver on the promises that you make. And you understand that consistency is key for them understanding that you are in the business of serving them in a way that will allow them to more efficiently serve their consumers. Thank you for being here today, and have a great day.